states of lockout. It's 11:30 at night. Total lockdown. See how they moved away from the camera. Total lockdown of Sydney and Leichhardt, where I live. Total lockdown. But if you look here, just wondering why total lockdown, that there's still reasonable traffic at 11:30 at night. Now, it's a matrix, so they can stop the traffic and make it come at will. And notice how when I said that, how it went all empty? Look at that, all empty as soon as I said that. Of course, they know my thinking, they read, they download your thinking and download your thinking, and so they know what you're thinking. What is coming up here? Some sort of, look, I don't know what to say about this thing. See what is coming up here? Look at that. Look at that. Oh. Like, why does a vehicle, whether it be fire, ambulance or the authorities, why do they have to have flashing lights? Normally they put the sirens in, but flashing lights like that are extremely irritating. This in front here now is also a highway patrol authority that's just come in front of me, just right now, as I'm coming up here with a mobile. And yeah, see, it's a patrol car. That's a real patrol car, one that openly shows you it's a patrol car, whereas in reality, every vehicle almost on the road, or at least around Leichhardt, is what you'd call a matrix patrol car, part of a controlling system of someone like myself anyway, and others that are like myself. But where the others are, I only know the others that are part of the matrix system, but there would be a few others somewhere, but I don't know where they are. I'm just going to go up here and show you something that I saw last night. And this is the furthest I've ever been myself with a mobile. This is Parramatta Road, which is off Norton Street, which is just up there. And the only reason I'm filming this today is because I had very strong technical energy directed at me when I was asleep. Well, I wasn't asleep. Obviously, you're asleep, and then they wake you up and send technical energy at your body. And if they send it at your legs, then you can't actually move to get out of bed to even lessen it or to stop it until they decide that they want to turn it off. Now, so today, even though I have very little energy, because you are running on empty, as they say, you know, like where you're a car but you're running on empty, there's very little gasoline left in the tank, but with a human being, you normally should be running on positive energy, feeling good. That gives you more energy. But you're in a negative matrix. But it is possible to run on empty with the reverse, to where you are angry and full of anger, and you think it may be your last day, so you're operating then on the opposite to what is a positive frequency or emotion. But sometimes it does make you, that's that same ambulance that went past, but it hasn't got the flashing lights. There you're, I don't know whether, any rate, I better just concentrate here. This is graffiti along here that's only just been put here over the last few days. I saw it. Can you see what it says? Am I getting it in? Probably not. See how it says, am I getting it in? It says syndrome, because I asked someone what it meant, but I already know what it means because I had seen a movie about what they call Stockholm Syndrome. See how it says, see how someone in Leichhardt or somewhere that might have even come to Leichhardt, but I don't know, Stockholm, see how they've written it across this vacant lot here, Stockholm Syndrome. They put that there about 2 nights ago. I pointed it out. I was walking with my son, and since then, last night, the Stockholm Syndrome was put up there. I hope it's coming out. I'm very Stockholm Syndrome. So someone in this negative Leichhardt, which is completely overtaken by negative anti-life patrolling, controlling entities, and destructive entities too, because if they can't control you, then they will try to destroy you. And underneath it, they've added last night, which is kind of strange. Can you see it? I live in Sydney, which is in the state of New South Wales. See how it says NSW, which is New South Wales, and it says GOV, which of course is abbreviated for government, and then it's got murder you. This is quite someone in Leichhardt, and I did not put this here, by the way, but I think that there is merit to it. It is a strange thing to see. Stockholm, can you see it? They'll probably, someone will the actual council will probably come and take it down at some point, I would think. In fact, I'm surprised they've left it here, because I've seen them get onto graffiti around this area very quick. I could do a separate thing on graffiti. I never had any interest in graffiti until quite recent times. In fact, sometimes, yes, it looks messy. But if you are in an end-time situation where we have total lockdown, the street's vacant for a second there when I said that, total lockdown of Sydney, and you can't even go from very many suburbs, I believe, without a valid reason. I'm not sure what those things are, because I don't even watch the news, but I do catch, unfortunately, even on the YouTube, you will catch the headlines because they put them underneath the videos. But I'm exhausted here, actually. Like I say, you can run on empty, but I've never brought the mobile down here before. And I don't even know what I'm saying, to be honest. So there you have Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome comes from, I wouldn't even know what it means, but I saw a movie years and years ago, 25 years ago in fact. In fact, it was actually closer to 30 in the adjoining suburb I went when I first come to Leichhardt. And I saw this movie called The Night Porter, and it was based around the idea of the Stockholm Syndrome. I didn't understand it at the time, but being interested in movies, and I was interested to see it. I probably saw it for the wrong reasons at the time, and I didn't like the movie, I have to admit, but I was fascinated by it. I liked some things about it, but I basically didn't like the whole story because it was about Stockholm Syndrome, which I've mentioned to the Englishman. When I occasionally am lucky enough to have a conversation, because in the Matrix, you know, we're not really allowed to have conversations with those that we're meant to connect with. And if we do connect, we ourselves even get convoluted. Not by the Matrix, of course. By the Matrix, of course, because that means that you don't know what you're doing half the time because you've got all this. They call it gaslighting, but if you look here, look at all the lights. This is gaslight. I am gaslighted, you could say, or confused or confounded by these lights every day. This is now heading up towards midnight here. And look at the cars, look at the bright lights. And one eye, one headlight blatant on this one coming down. Look at that, that's weird. Why have they only got one light? You know, also I would say that in the past, you know, once you got past up towards midnight, this is supposed to be total lockdown, by the way. So people are not, they're supposed to all be staying at home. So should I. But this is the only time that I've come out. I do actually abide by the rules of the lockdown because you're only allowed to go out once a day, really, for necessities and for exercise. And I've always only, over the last, I've always really only ever went out once a day. You'd rarely see me, apart from when I made those videos in recent times where I went down the road and then I did have to go out for groceries. But really, most of my life living in Leichhardt, I would only go out once a day because I found that enough energy consuming and I do everything. So actually, I don't know what I'm talking about here. This is not relevant, but it's not relevant. But the Stockholm Syndrome, I must try to get back to this. The Stockholm Syndrome essentially means that the person, like in that movie, there was a German officer, as I remember it, and I've told this to the Englishman when I spoke to him quite a while ago now. You know, the Stockholm Syndrome is like where you have someone that captures you against your will and imprisons you and may even treat you quite badly. But because they show you a little bit of something that might benefit you, or a little kindness, as was in the movie, where this girl was essentially from quite young, in fact. She was like, if memory serves me correct, this girl was taken when she was a child by the, I think you call them they were German officers, that were around at that time, because I don't understand history a real lot. I pick up on things quick and then I make my own story, but I believe my own fairy tales. And I don't know why that is, but it's just because when you become a bit more aware at this time, because I say human beings, we're so limited. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how to piece things together, but even at a limited level, if you see the matrix, you start to get things right. You certainly get some things right. You may not get everything right. Now, with the Stockholm Syndrome, here comes the bus. See how the bus... This is night time, so we expect to see lights, but he actually turned his lights down. See, the buses are still going, even though they're probably empty. Supposed to be total lockdown. You can't go more than a certain distance from your house at this time, which I only found out less than a week ago because I don't keep up with things. But I rarely go outside of my own suburb, so they've had me in the Stockholm Syndrome for years, I guess. I shouldn't say that. It's not funny at all. It's not funny. None of this is funny. In fact, it is serious stuff. So the New South Wales. See, I live in Sydney. I live in the suburb of Leichhardt, which is in Sydney, which is in the state of New South Wales, which is in the country of Australia. Now this is really, that's strong to write that underneath like that. Someone has got a lot more courage than me, shall I say, to write this on here. And it does take a bit of courage to do graffiti that speaks the truth, or at least where you're speaking serious stuff, because you are talking about people's lives. That's right, you are talking about the elimination of what is left of the human race, because there's very few real people left. That's how you see the matrix in the end. There's people everywhere, but they are different. They're a technical type, and they're anti-life, anti-against real human life. Because I have to find the words. I've been struggling with this, making even these little videos, because I struggle with using the correct words. But they're all here to suppress, control, and even get rid of any human life if it is not compliance, like the Stockholm Syndrome. You see, the Stockholm Syndrome is this. That's what it means. I was told this, that it simply means, like even at a personal level, it simply means that the person that captures you and imprisons you and treats you badly and takes away your rights, and can even inflict pain and suffering on you, which is what the Matrix does to real people at this time, and it has been doing for a few years in my life, to where I've been aware of it. Before that, it was all psychological stuff, all just personal, what you thought was personal difficulties, personal psychological, that you'd inflicted on yourself due to your not coping with the environment, due to being stressed or anxiety. They call them anxiety disorders. They're a disorder, but they're really all set up because it's a matrix. And the people that you think are real people are mostly matrix people, so they're either possessed with the negative spirit of the God entity that rules and runs and controls not only the matrix or the earth, but all the people in it. Now I'm losing it here. I'm losing my plot here. I'm losing it with the concentration on this just bit of graffiti that I'm supposed to be. Yes, some people will write graffiti and they will pay a high price. Maybe this person will not pay a price as you see how they're blinking there? Is that coming out, how that bus is blinking its lights at me? And it doesn't matter if it's going around the corner, because I have seen the buses blink their lights at me when I glance at them, to get your attention and to bring you into the matrix and to show you that they've got you under their thumb, under their control, even if they're just going straight along the road. But no one else would notice that because it's only you that's looking at the time. That's because all this traffic is a system that is controlled by the God of this world. And all these drivers, see how there's all these drivers, operating as a collaborative effort, deliberately and purposefully, to make me aware that I'm under their control. And this is what they do when they openly come down on humans. They don't always openly do it. They wait their time and they do it one by one, systematically, I think, because, there are... But this one here that is written here obviously knows what is going on and doesn't like, maybe the situation that is now happening in Sydney and has happened across the entire world in very recent times. Sydney is now, it has had a little bit of lockdown last year. All this started at the beginning of June, and I personally have been in lockdown or over the last few months, but only at a personal level. The matrix, of course, is full on, and its usual light and sound controlling force around you, where there's always the awareness of sound around you, some of it quite loud and vibrationally, mentally and physically disturbing and destructive, others just the slightest noise, but you become sensitized to sound over 4 years. That is the purpose. This is a psychological program. Is that the word? That gets waged against real humans at this time, when it is prepared to openly come down and show itself. It doesn't do this with every human while you are not aware. See, the Stockholm Syndrome, let me get back to that. This person that has put this graffiti here, is a real person, must be, because the Stockholm Syndrome, see, I must get it while it's here. That's why I come down, because I know they'll take it down. And then to say that what is running Sydney and New South Wales, because New South Wales, the whole of New South Wales is in lockdown too, which is very extreme, because that means not just the city, but regional, which is like New South Wales is a big place. And of course, it has been the case that you can't cross the border from New South Wales into the other states of Australia at the present time either. So it's almost total lockdown of the whole country, which is a very big country too, because Australia has, it has, I think I was told that it has about 27 million people. But that's over a much larger space. That's why they're having trouble controlling it too, because, see, they can control the city so much easier. That's why they like to shove us all into the cities, because that way you're easier to control. They can set up these systems around. With the cars and the vehicles and the trucks. There's no trucks tonight. Last night there was the usual trucks, and yet I wouldn't even be bothered asking Matrix control people why there are so many trucks on the road late at night. Huge trucks. When it's total lockdown, because most of the work is not allowed to be going on. They even halted complete construction, I think a week or two ago. But then again, that was when, now you're going to say I'm paranoid, but that was when little old me, and I am little, well I may not be little, but I certainly am old, but that was when I was on what you call like now the night shift. So in other words, I wasn't going out in the daytime, I was going out of the night time like now, okay. So they halted all the construction. But the minute I went out in the daytime, like the very next day, they brought all the construction back and said, now we can lift that ban on construction, the lockdown on construction, because they wanted me to be aware, humans to be aware of these false construction workers that are all over the street of Leichhardt, you know, just pretending to dig ditches and doing all this work. Okay, so admittedly they do actually dig the ditches, and sometimes they will put the cement down and stuff, but they create all this stuff. They have everything planned. They can see the future. They know what they're doing. They work it all out. I figured that out myself, because you see that they will destroy the footpath many months before, to where then they have an excuse at the appropriate time to put these controlled matrix operatives that are really part of the controlling system. I'm not getting my thoughts clear to explain this as well as what I'd like. I had it before I started the video. Because they are all part of the authorities, okay? They're like when I had the camouflaged army hat on in the other video. In fact, you know, if you wanted to be quite like this person has done here, can you see this? I hope it's coming out, because it is night time. You know, it is now midnight, or maybe even just after. See, this is quite direct. This is rare to see something around Leichhardt in particular. It's direct. In fact, I'll take you. If I can't do it tonight, but I'll have to walk back down Norton Street, which is the main street of Leichhardt, where I live. This is the furthest I've come with the mobile. But, you know, where you will have the opposite to this everywhere, where you have the what you would call the council, the local council, which is all part of this. It's all the one. Everything is part. It's a bit like it's just one big. I can't get my thoughts to explain it to where I'm making it clear. So I'll just concentrate on this. I might have to leave it for another video. But see, look at that. See, the Stockholm Syndrome means that you are captured and you are tormented. You are persecuted. You're like in that movie that I saw, where the girl was taken from. She was a girl, a young girl. And she was, when I say young, I mean like maybe under 12 when she was taken. And she was all those years kept in this, I suppose you'd say it's some sort of, you know, under the thumb of these German soldiers, which are like, I suppose I could use the correct words, but I'm not up on all that enough. But it's like, and you know, it's part of controlling someone to make them subservient and to get what they want out of them. I can't remember why they did it in the movie, but essentially what happened over time was the girl, when she got older and grew up into a woman, the main German soldier that he was taking photos of. He was taking a chronological photo of her to show the program of how they were controlling the girls and ones they had captured. And yeah, he was there to take the photos in this movie called The Night Porter, which is a very unpleasant film. Not as unpleasant as some films I've seen because it was not graphically violent, but still everything that was in it was negative. But at any rate, as time went on, the girl grew to not only accept her controller or the German officer, but eventually to think that the German officer was not only her friend, but even more than that. That what was essentially started out Stockholm Syndrome, where everything is negative, you are controlled and you are taken against your will and you're a prisoner, to actually like being a prisoner and to like your captor, those that have captured. And see, this is what this thing is saying here. It was pointed out to me because I asked, but I couldn't figure it out, of course. But, the Stockholm Syndrome was written there first, a few days ago, and then that same person has come along and added this underneath. Last night I saw it, and that's why I brought this down today, but mainly because I was angry. I was going to come down at some point, but the energy, and I have no energy, but I'm running on empty, but angry, the little bit of fuel that is left in my tank, shall we say, or as a human being, the little bit of energy you have left. New South Wales. GOV. Murder. You. Now, what does that mean? And I'll just stand back here because that's just regular graffiti there. So that's our usual matrix patrolling. See how she looked back at me? Because they know that they're not just random people walking along. They are literally employees of all this, you could say, if you want to look at it. I hope it's coming out. I hope it's coming out. I hope that I'm making some sort of sense here. But look, because they do murder your spirit and they do murder your body. They may not kill you outright, at least as from my own perception over the last few years. But this, of course, is about what's going on at the moment, probably with the lockdown and everyone being told that they must be vaccinated. In fact, I can't go back down the street because I've got to go and get a coffee because I'm absolutely exhausted and have no energy. But if I went round the corner there back onto Norton Street, I could show you a big sign that the local council of Leichhardt, and it's all over Sydney, of course, because the local council is just each suburbs. They put up signs and they're actually saying on that sign, the opposite to this is like Stockholm Syndrome, you will trust your captor, you will trust the and then they see that on the sign around the street there, the council has put up signs. I just saw it last night because at the town hall, which is like halfway down the main street, they put a sign up saying, what is it? Get vaccinated. Your path to freedom. See, Stockholm syndrome. Your only path to freedom is to go along with the authorities, the institution that is running this world, which is a matrix, all run by the matrix god. Oh, someone's coming past here. Hold on, I'm getting a bit nervous here. But they do this to stop you from concentration because it's hard.
Oh, I'm so happy.
But what I'm saying is that, let me try to concentrate here. On the sign halfway down Norton Street, which I might show you if I take the mobile down tomorrow or something, or in a few days, because but I'm just going to do this here because I haven't got the energy. But they've got a big sign out put, and they've got them all over probably Sydney, I would imagine. Get vaccinated, your path to freedom. You see, this is like where you will think that your captor, those that are telling you that you must get vaccinated because that's your path to freedom. Whereas we were free before all this, really. Well, not in a matrix, but more free than what we are now. But see, they're using to where you will think that, like the Stockholm syndrome, I don't know if I'm making sense here, that your captors, those that are controlling you and telling you must do this, and created total lockdown in Sydney, which has never been anything like that in my lifetime. I'm 60 odd, so never in my lifetime have I encountered such restrictions, and I think that obviously different parts of the world, they probably might even be used to it. See, now we have people that have come into the countries where countries change over the years, to where people come from countries where they're used to restrictions, they're used to open control, open war, you could almost say. So this kind of COVID war that's waged against a limited number of real people. And if I had the courage of this person, I would be more direct about who these people are. But you're essentially looking at two groups. You're essentially looking at a very small number of real humans that are left against the rest of the world almost, which is a group of a particular type of beings that look the same as you and I, but they're essentially technical in nature and negative, and possessed by technical beings at the very least. But I don't want to get too over my own head or make out I know more than what I do, because I don't see a real lot. I see this, but I don't see as much as some people. Some people are at a higher level as to what the true identities, but I see it just as two groups, and that I think is so. One is a very small group up against a technical large group that is not singly or individually strong, but because they have a united, because they're united in vast numbers and are working covertly against real people. So covertly against real people. Now I've lost my whole train here, my whole train. But you see, you will see your captors when they say, yes, get vaccinated on the sign just down Norton Street there. You know, and this is not about, obviously some people might think that the vaccinations are something else. Well, I'm not going to go there. But it's still saying that is the only way that you will get your freedom back. So then those that have closed Sydney down will become the saviour, like the Stockholm Syndrome, where you learn to love your captor, those that have restricted you and limited you, because they will then show you something that is positive. And you forget that they created, that the reason you don't have your freedom and that the reason you don't have your freedom is because they set that up, because it's a matrix, you see. So it's a matrix overlay. So then your captors become your saviour, not a real saviour. A saviour that is a saviour that is the reverse. See, we live in a reverse world. So the real saviours will be those that will be controlled and kept down. And then the ones that are doing that, which are the group, which I should go into, but the group that are like the same, you could say they're the same nationality, they originated from the same group, from the same part of the world perhaps even originally. Talking about saviours, I'm not religious, I don't go into that, but you know, those that condemned in the Christian religion, what Christians consider their saviour, those that condemned our saviour or their saviour, these are the same people that now control the matrix and that are controlling, certainly not saviours, but humans that are from that have descended from that. Whereas the others are the technical beings that are a bit like the Romans that were around 2,000 years ago, as the movies, if the movies serve me correct. I'm terribly ignorant on these things. I keep it simple, but I hope that the simplicity still has some truth. In the old movies, because I don't like to watch those biblical movies, I never have. But I have seen a few, because you get tempted to. You get, like... I'm so exhausted. Because I find it hard to even discuss or say this, but like in the biblical movies, I think on the cross, they had the words, it's in the movies, in written in me. And that means King of the Jews. So the Christ that many people worship and see as almost God, and some people do see as the incarnation of God. I'm not going to go into that. But either way, the very best of the humankind. So the King of the Jews is like, that's what's written on the cross, the in re, which that's what I was always told it meant, even when I was very young. And only now it comes to me, of course, now we have the reverse world, where those that condemned the Saviour and his kind, or those that they have because it's a copycat reverse world where the God entity is emulating everything that is human, and that's the only way that he can control humans. All the religions are of the God entity. They've all been twisted round that way, you see. That's how it is. So therefore the King of the Jews, that really means that now we have those that are meant to be descendants of the Saviour are really, they have taken that name, and they are those that condemned the Saviour. I don't think I'm making sense here. I think I've gone over my head in this video, and I've gone over my head in this video. I'm not quite sure what I'm not making it clear. I'm not putting it right. So I'll put it bluntly, as I said to the Englishman a while back. Put it very simply. Those that persecuted and condemned that particular human 2,000 years ago are the same ones that are now in large numbers everywhere, patrolling all the streets. They all work for the God entity, because back then they were working for the God entity too. They were like, I don't know what group that they would have been like. But now that group has taken on. They will take on the religion and the names, and even use the human names, like in their religions, like you have. That's how they trick and confuse and take control of real humans, because humans generally want to know the truth. See, so truth is used by the God entity, who is a controller, who is like Stockholm Syndrome, where you end up worshipping and loving your controller, your captor. There's an ambulance went past. That's all. Normally they have the big flashing lights on them. They're going quiet now. But it must be about 12:30. I'll have to fold up because it's very late, and it's. But I don't think I've shown the traffic is very quiet here tonight. But last night it was total lockdown, and it was as noisy as anything. It wasn't quite as late as now. So it's very strange. See, that's because if you're like myself, they will still have to keep, even in lockdown. See, it should be quite dead, really, if there's total lockdown. But up here, wherever I go, it is still not dead. There are still, see, there's people down there even. I hope that I've made some sense here, but I just had to show this. But Stockholm Syndrome. Can you see it? New South Wales, GOV. It takes courage to do graffiti. A subscriber of mine at the very present time has been in trouble for also expressing a bit of truth in the written word, in the form of graffiti, because some people see that there's no other way to, perhaps hoping that some people might look and see something in it. Certainly for me, seeing this doesn't enlighten me, because, I'm in a matrix and they've come down on me, so I already know. But to see this written surprised me greatly in the last few nights, because around Leichhardt, because it is so suppressed and a total control matrix system operating here, and people very much tend to support the ideas even of the council and the local so-called GOV or whatever it is, because I've never been very up on politics and what goes on. In fact, but I better go. Must go.